News.
Well, according to reports, Justin Fields told NFL teams that he has been managing epilepsy throughout his football career. Now, he was diagnosed as a child and has taken medication for it, and his symptoms have become shorter and less frequent. The condition has not affected him on the field so far, and Ohio State coach Ryan Day tweeted his support for Fields, saying, "Justin's health, toughness, and work ethic have never been an issue, and I am incredibly proud of his professionalism and the character he displays on and off the field. The fact that he never missed a game at Ohio State speaks volumes about how he takes care of himself." Now, I'm not a medical expert, obviously, but anytime you're dealing with seizures, it just seems like that's a big deal.
Well, I mean, I think everything for these prospects is something, and nothing is everything. And so if you were the Denver Broncos, and reportedly they like him and Trey Lance the same, is this something that moves you to Trey Lance? Potentially. So I don't think, I just kind of look at it like Zach Wilson. The deeper you dig, you find certain things you're like, not a fan of that. I don't think it's I always defended the Wonderlic test for quarterbacks. I said it's not everything. It's not even significant. But if you had a really low score, it's something. I'm like, okay, he struggles on tests. This is a fast lead. Everything is something. Yeah. So I don't think it means he's going to drop out of the first round. I don't think it means it's going to drop. Listen, we got 5 teams that need quarterbacks, and they're all going by the 13th, 15th pick. So he's going to get drafted. By the way, if he goes a little lower, he probably goes to a better roster. So if he drops to New England, he gets Belichick. So I think everything is something, but I mean, the story I read this morning is his family has had it, but it is what he is dealing with has lessened every year. Yeah. So the symptoms have decreased every year. Yeah. So that's good news.
I mean, my question would be, could there be something in football that could trigger it?
Yeah,
maybe getting hit, extra stress, something like that. So whatever team picks him up, it's just going to have to be a little extra research they do on the medical staff to make sure that he's okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's all it is. He'll be okay. Well, moving on. Jerry Jones has been very high on Kyle Pitts in this year's draft with the 10th pick. The Cowboys may not be in a position to get him unless they move up. And the teams held a virtual interview with Pitts, and Jerry told him just how excited he is to see what he does in the NFL.
Boy, I'll tell you what, I'm excited to have you come into this league. And, man, what a pair up we could do with old Dak Prescott. Some of those guys that we've got out there of options to get you the ball. So we can dream of visions of sugar plums around here.
What comes to your mind when you think of sugar plums?
Well, I don't know. What, am I missing something?
It's like a Christmas morning. Like, I looked up sugar plums, and it's all these Christmas morning, candy kind of fairy tale images.
To get Kyle Pitts, you'd have to give up draft picks. And and Dallas has a few. But what Dallas can't do is give up a ton of draft picks because they're so expensive on the O-line and offense. Yeah. They need their draft picks. They've got to get inexpensive on defense because they're so expensive on offense. So, I mean, listen, if they weren't paying Zeke and Amari and Tyron Smith those dollars, give up picks, multiple picks, and go get him, because I do think he'd be amazing for Dak Prescott. And by the way, I will say this about Dallas. Despite all the misgivings people have, they do offense right. Yeah, that's not the issue. With Aikman, with Romo, with Dak, they've drafted offensive well. They've been productive. I mean, CeeDee Lamb has been an absolute goldmine of talent, and he'll pop this year. So they're good with offense. The question is, I mean, they could get Kyle Pitts if you called Atlanta and gave him a ton. You could get him, but I just think right now, they are up against the cap, and they need a lot of young players to hit in the draft.
They do. What are they willing to give up? It's not necessarily what they need, but Jerry Jones loves the flashy offensive player. He always has, and he's honest about it, so you got to respect him for that. All right, let's move on to Steph Curry. He was on an incredible streak of 11 straight 30-point games. It came to an end last night when he only scored 18. The Warriors lost to the Wizards. But before the game, a preview of his interview with Rex Chapman was released, and he asked if he thinks he should be the NBA MVP this season. And he said, "I gotta be. I probably won't get it, but whatever." Now, I am here for Steph Curry's answer. He changed the game. He plays a different way. He's only won MVP twice. He's healthy. He's on a hot streak, and I think that's what it's going to come down to this year is who actually can stay healthy. And you got to remember, he didn't play in the bubble. He had a lot of time off, a lot of time to get healthy, a lot of time to rest. He's looking good. The only thing that's going to hurt him is his team isn't great right now.
I'm interested to see where Chris Paul finishes because he did it again last night. Chris Paul's not flashy. His game isn't easy to love. But the Phoenix Suns, for 11 years, have been a tire fire. They still have a chance to finish with the best record in the NBA. All these young players they have all blossomed. I know Chris Paul's not going to win it. I just want to see if he gets top 3 because Phoenix did it again against Philadelphia, that once again, Chris Paul's the key. But we all know the MVP has mostly been about stats and what's the better story. Russell Westbrook was a great story. KD bailed on him. It's a good story and his stats. I've given up a hope of Chris Paul winning it, but I want to see where he gets votes because I think what's happening in Phoenix right now, and by the way, I haven't watched Oklahoma City lately, but they were on an 11-game losing streak, and last year with Chris Paul, he had him in like a 4 spot or a 5 spot in the playoffs.
So where do you see the MVP? Where do you see it right now? Fox Bet has Steph at 4.
If Embiid is great down the stretch for the last, how many games they have? 15. He's going to get a lot of it. You know, what's funny is Giannis, we were talking about this yesterday, Giannis's defensive numbers are up, but I think people are tired of Giannis. Giannis's stats are great, but we've already given him that, so the story's old. We're fatigued on the Giannis story, but you could give it to Giannis. There's a lot of people you could give it to. You know, I give it to Steph. I'm good with it. His numbers now are better than his MVP year.
Yep.
Good stuff, Alex, with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.